by Helen Crummy to help an area that was now in decay. It consisted of workers and volunteers from the area, some of whom became teachers and trainers. Such was its success, the template of the CFS was copied and used worldwide. The arts and music side trained Faye Milligan, who starred in the hit 1988 movie The Steamie, and was also where filmmaker and local lad come good Bill Douglas learned his craft. Bill wrote a screenplay called Jamie, funded by the British Film Institute. The movie was a huge success internationally and opened the door for a trilogy and a career in the film industry. For those that don't know, Helen Crummy MBE was born in Leith and became one of Craig Miller's first residents in 1931. She was one of the founders of the CFS. Helen's family were neighbours of Jack Kane, the first Labour Lord Provost of Edinburgh. Jack was a man of dignity and humility, a very working class, everyday man who was there for the people. He received an OBE for his tireless efforts, but refused a knighthood, saying it might overshadow the reasons for his work. Helen was an inspiration to everyone in Craigmillar and Niddrie, if not the whole of Edinburgh. She was an international author and crusader for the arts who did so much good for the residents and children of our area, believing in us when most did not. There is a statue to her memory outside the neighbourhood centre on Niddrie Mains Road. I remember Helen as a very kind and thoughtful woman who always treated people with respect, giving folk her time. Even so, I don't think we had a clue we were in the presence of such a fantastic lady when we worked at the CFS. The young people in this part of the Youth Opportunity Scheme were a mixture of boys and girls, punk rockers and mods. It was far better than school. We had some good laughs and we got away with murder. But we worked hard and we got paid. Out of my well-earned £23.50 a week, wow, I gave my mum £10 for dig money and saved the rest. On occasions, the big yellow festival bus would need someone from our workshop to assist the driver with collecting the elderly to take them on their daily trip. Of course, everyone would hide out or take some job and try and look busy, but I didn't mind. I loved helping the old folk on and off the bus and hearing their stories. "What did you hear about so-and-so?" "Well, she was in the store and she put a packet of biscuits in her bag without even knowing she'd done it." "Well, did they not just go and catch her and say she was shoplifting?" "Oh dear, that can't be right. That poor woman wouldn't say boo to a goose. She's losing her marbles, the poor dear. I hope she gets off with a wee warning." The stories on the big yellow bus made this part of the job well worth it to me, and I soon became part of the chat. Getting on well with all the pensioners and making them laugh. Sometimes I would even start a wee sing-song on the bus. "Oh, what a nice laddie," I would hear them say when they were getting off the bus. It was a great gig, and I volunteered so freely, the bosses thought that there must be a sky in it for me, or that I was up to no good. The Silver Kings continued to play gigs throughout our period of working for the CFS. Unfortunately, our friend and mentor Chris, who ran the place, was soon heading back to Australia. A new guy, Stevie, was going to be taking his place. Stevie was older than us. He not only wanted to teach us, but he also wanted to be in the band. We were only 17 and 18, while he was 25 at least. His choice of songs was lame, and we all lost interest. And the final straw came when he asked us to learn an old 70s song called The Bump. I'd really like you to sing that. But I looked up The Bump, and there was like 2 or 3 kind of options. I didn't know which one. There's one with a bunch of guys in really dodgy kind of jumpsuits, like Bay City Rollers type thing. No. No. Well, to sum it up, there was no way we were going in that direction. There had been fallouts between us before, but now the wheels came off completely. At the same time, our drummer Ian's health became an issue. He had kidney problems, he was attending hospital a lot, and as a result, we couldn't practice as much or gig, and we did not have the heart to get another drummer to stand in for him. The Silver Kings had given me something special: hope, joy, and purpose. There was just something so uplifting and powerful when we played together. However, with Ian's health issues and this guy Stevie trying to steal the band, we all agreed to call it a day. We visited Stevie and told him to shove it where the sun didn't shine. And then we went out and got pissed. Talking about the good times we'd had and how good the gig in the Marine Bar at the bottom of Bath Street had been. Around this time, the Yorkshire Ripper was on the go, and in the news most days. My dad watched and read everything about the person he called the Yorkie. Something about it really gripped him. He would shake his head and whistle as though he couldn't believe the latest stories. Through my work, I'd saved up enough money to pay for my mum and dad to go for a day trip to Blackpool on Mrs. Ayre's bus. It was an adults-only trip. My parents left early in the morning, returning home early the next day. When my dad got in, he couldn't wait to tell us about this remarkable guy that they'd met called Joe Saddle. He is bloody in the saddle, right? Is that right? Joe Saddle, he's bloody loaded, son. He paid for everything. I think he might be a millionaire like Kenny Waugh. The next thing we knew, this guy Joe turned up unannounced. And yes, he was generous with his money, which helped us to take to him. He arranged to stay over for the weekend. As Joe and my dad left for the pub, my dad said, "Don't worry about your case, Joe. None of my kids will touch your stuff." Unbeknownst to us, my dad placed a cigarette coupon up the side of the suitcase lid and said to Joe, "I'll show my kids are good kids." When they came home from the pub, my dad couldn't wait to prove his point. Straight to the suitcase they went, but the coupon was gone. My dad's jaw dropped. He started running about asking us all who opened the case. Joe said, "It's okay, kids will be kids, don't worry about it." We never found out who looked in the suitcase, but Joe made his excuses and left the next day, putting my dad on the defensive. "Something's not right about that cunt," he said to my mum. "I'm not happy about him." I think my dad may have been hoping for a wee bung from Joe for the hospitality, but when he got nothing, he went into a mood. You could go from hero to zero very quickly with my dad, who could drop you like a hot coal if he felt it was due something. Are you sure you're not cut from the same dad? I'm fairly sure that's mine. My dad began pacing the living room and then sat down to read the papers, tapping a pencil against his chin, writing little notes, nodding his head and muttering things. Later, he had the TV on and he shouted, "The Yorkshire Ripper's struck again." Unfortunately, the latest murder happened between when they met Joe Saddle in Blackpool and when he turned up at our house. Something must have clicked in my dad's head and he believed he'd worked out who Joe really was. "The Yorkie!" he shouted, jumping to his feet. "That's it! I knew there was something not right about that cunt." Well, did my dad not just call the police? And not just any normal policeman who would have laughed as soon as they put the phone down. No. My dad got through to his old childhood pal, Martin Souter of the CID, who came round immediately to take a statement. With a grim face, Martin took it all seriously. "Tell me all you can remember about him. Have you got a phone number or address? Did he say anything suspicious to you?" As they got up to leave, Martin said, "If you can remember anything else, please call and let us know." My dad couldn't help himself. "If it's the Yorkie, will I get a reward?" he asked. And that about summed up my dad. It turned out Joe was not the Yorkshire Ripper, just a rich, nice guy who drifted from place to place, meeting people and trying to be decent. At least that's what came back from the police when they finally caught up with the poor man. "Maybe," said my dad later, "but better to be safe than sorry, son."